I promised my wife that I would tell this story. She didn't want me to tell it, but it's a beautiful story, and I don't like to talk too many personal things, but a lot of people have told me that I should write a book about it. Some people have even gone as far to say that a movie should be made about it. And it's a brief story. I'll try to condense it of how I met my wife. The year was 1945. I don't know where you were in 1945, but I was getting ready to graduate from high school. The month was April, and a friend of mine, another Mexican friend of mine, came by one Sunday afternoon and asked me if I wanted to go to the movies. And I told him I didn't care to. I said, I got a lot of work to do for school. It's closing year. I'm a senior. I'm graduating, and I was valedictorian of the class. And he says, come on. He says, it'll do you good. So finally, he talked me into it. If I had not gone to the movies that Sunday afternoon, I would not be married to my wife today. As we went to the ticket office and we were ready to buy the tickets, my friend looks across the street and there's a panel truck that said with big letters, your name engraved in gold. So my friend said, let's go across the street and see what this guy is selling. He says, I need to buy a present for one of my aunts. I said, look, forget that. I said, we're going to go to the movies. Let's go to the movies. He says, come on. He said, it will only take a minute. If I hadn't crossed the street with him, I would never be married to my wife today. While my friend is buying, the man in the truck, incidentally, was a crippled man. He lived in the truck, and he'd been traveling across country. I think he started in California, because on the panel, I guess that was the first incident of graffiti or writings on walls. All through the panel truck and the fenders and doors, young boys and girls were writing their names and addresses with little sayings like, I'm looking for a tall, dark, handsome guy who likes music. Please write me. And they would put Betty Compton or something in Oklahoma City. And some guys would say, I'm looking for a girl who loves to dance and likes to share music with me, Joe Blokes or whatever in Arizona. And I kept amazed at the hundreds and hundreds of names on that truck. So my friend bought a pin. The guy was selling some gold pins. He would engrave with any name you wanted for a quarter, and finally I said, well, let's go to the movies. And I'm crossing the street, seriously, and my friend says, what kind of a girl do you want? Let's write our names here. I said, forget about that. I said, let's go see the movie. He said, what kind of a girl do you want? And I said, a green-eyed blonde that can understand my heart. I remember saying that, and I'm going to be honest with you, right there, the whole incident just closed from my mind. I erased it completely, obliterated it. A month later, I get a letter from Tennessee, and my father, who brought it to me, says, who do you know in Tennessee? I said, I don't know anybody in Tennessee. So I opened it up, and it said, Dear Tony, I'm the green-eyed blonde you advertised for. Immediately, in my mind, because I was getting ready to play a joke on some of my friends. I was really serious. I was thinking of sending their names to a Lonely Hearts Club. And I said, oh, gone it, they beat me to it. Somebody sent my name to a Lonely Hearts Club, and I got scared. I panicked, so I immediately wrote her back. I says, I don't know who you are or what you want, but don't ever write me again. She wrote back and said, Jesus, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. She says, I thought maybe we could exchange some points of interest, some viewpoints. I could tell you some things about Tennessee. You could tell me some things about Texas. I've never been out of the state of Tennessee, and I'd like to know more about what's going on down there. So I wrote back. I said, well, who are you? And I said, where'd you get my name? And she said, one Sunday afternoon, my girlfriend and I were invited. She invited me to go to the movies. And across the street, we see this panel truck. And I didn't want to go, but she talked me into it. We didn't buy anything from this man, and all of a sudden, in my mind, the picture is beginning to take form and shape. And she said, look at this, hundreds and hundreds of names. She says, why don't you pick a name and write him, and I'll pick a name and I'll write him. And I chose yours. I couldn't believe that. I was on my way to college, like I said, after graduation, so we wrote for a while. We exchanged graduating pictures, and Then her letters followed me to college, and they followed me back home. And we wrote for 3 solid years without meeting. And after the second year, we wrote every day. I had a system in which I numbered the envelopes from 1, 2, 3, and we used to say, on letter 157, you used to say blah, 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 and she would we still have over 800 letters that she wrote and 800 letters that I wrote. In those 3 years, we discussed politics, religion, we fought, we cried, we argued, we fell in love. It got to the point where we talked on the phone a few times, but finally I was sent to Puerto Rico. I was working for Pan American Airways, and I told her it's about time that we meet. And 3 years to the day, I asked her to take vacation. She was working for the telephone company at the time. She never went to college. This is why now she's graduating in May. She took vacation, and I invited her to come to Puerto Rico. Now, in 1947, it's not what's happening today. In 1947, a young girl would not just get on an airplane and fly to Puerto Rico. Today, they fly all over the world, spend the weekend wherever they want to, but in those days, her folks wouldn't let her go. So I had to write them a letter and ask her that, I just wanted to meet her, that I would respect her, treat her nice, and just wanted to see what would happen, which was ridiculous. We were already in love. But she came to Puerto Rico, and of course we met and we fell more in love. And I'd like to conclude this story by saying that after 33 years of marriage, 9 children, marriages are not made in heaven, they're made on the side of panel trucks.